Alright, so I'm finally doing a video on these BETAFPV 1S Lipos. I've been showing these in some various videos here. I've got some data now to share with you, and I'll show you what my findings are. I don't think I'm not so sure if they're 100% conclusive, but I did want to compare them mainly to these 1S tattoos. I made a video over on my second channel a while back and didn't get a lot of views. I think maybe like a few hundred. I claimed that these were the best 1S Lipos for tiny whoops. These have the BT 2.0 connector on them. I'll link that video in the video description. You can hear all my reasons as to why. In that video, I'm not going to regurgitate all that. Basically, these are these Z-folded type of cells where they're constructed in a certain way that I think is superior to some of the other batteries that are out there from G&B and others. And these are basically the same as these nitro nectar batteries that came from Newbie Drone, but this has the, as you can see, the pH 2.0 connector, which is basically not in favor anymore. But for those of you wondering, I believe that wherever these are manufactured, that these are also the same place, and they just have the pH 2.0 connector on them instead of the BT, or they have the BT 2.0 connector on them instead of the pH 2.0 connector on the nitro nectars. So obviously the BETAFPV ones here, they look different. They have a silver casing instead of the black one on the tattoos. They look completely different. So I don't believe that they're manufactured by the same factory. I just believe that what BETAFPV has done is they've kind of ripped open these tattoos and looked at how they're constructed, and then they've duplicated that in the lava lipos. And in a nutshell, they perform very similarly with some minor differences. That's what I'm gonna talk about in this video. Now, the elephant in the room is, hey, why aren't you talking about the lipos from Weebleed FPV and Tiny Whoop? And the reason is, I believe that they're the same. These are exactly the same lipos as the tattoos. So if you look at the Tiny Whoop product page, it has this little QR code on the battery, and it looks exactly the same. It's got this black casing, obviously the same BT 2.0 connector. Everything looks exactly the same. I haven't seen any more photos of the Weebleed ones, but I believe the Weebleed ones and the Tiny Whoop ones are the same as these tattoos. If someone has actual proof that I'm incorrect on that assumption, because it is an assumption, I have not bought any of the Weebleeds or the Tiny Whoops, mainly because every time I go look over there to buy them, they're out of stock. So I've tried, but every time I go there, they're never in stock. And there are people, I think, I'm not sure who they are, if they're sponsored pilots or what, if they're just fanboys of the Weebleed or the Tiny Whoop batteries. They're spreading around misinformation that the Tiny Whoop batteries and the Weebleed batteries are better than the tattoos, saying things like they have 25% to 50% more flight time, which is complete BS. I believe that's a complete lie. And of course they offer no proof other than that they're just making that claim that they're getting 50% more flight time on the same 1S battery. It's just ridiculous. And if you see that claim, don't believe it. I believe it's completely false. I believe it's misinformation. I believe that these are the exact same batteries, just they're at different prices. So regarding the prices, let's actually talk about that. So the Weebleed batteries come in a pack of 4, and they're $26.99, so it's $6.75 per battery. The Tiny Whoops come in a pack of 8. I think you can get them in smaller packs for a little bit more, but basically the pack of 8 comes in at $50. It's $49.99, or about $6.25 per battery. The tattoos come in at the best price, in my opinion. So the tattoos come in a pack of 6 on Amazon for $25.89. That's the last time I checked the price. They do also come in a pack of 5 for like $21 something, which is, I think, the same price that the lava lipos come at, which is about $4.40 a pack. So the tattoos come in at $4.32 per battery in the pack of 6 on Amazon. and which is the best price for this type of battery. And then the Lavos come in at $440 in a pack of 5 for $21.99, so slightly more than the tattoos. I don't know why the Tiny Whoops and the Weebleeds cost so much more. I believe that they're getting them from the same source as the tattoos. I don't believe actually Tattoo's making these as well. They're just relabeled Tattoo, and these are relabeled Newbie Drone, and so they're coming from a certain factory. They're getting rebranded, Tattoo, Tiny Whoop, and Weebleed, and they're just coming at different prices. I believe that they're all exactly the same. If you have proof that they're not the same, and in actual evidence that actually backs it up, I would love to hear about that and see that. So if you do have that, let me know in the comments below. If you're just saying that they're different, but you don't have any proof, don't expect that comment to stick around, because I want to see proof, not just random claims of 50% more flight time without any evidence. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's get to the testing. I did the testing on the Mobula 6 2024 here. I'm not putting my video out yet because basically this is not available. It's on pre-order in a couple places like Banggood, Makerfire, etc. The reason I've been told that this is not available yet is because of the VTX chip shortage. So the VTX is built in onto this flight controller, and because there's currently a chip shortage on that, they can't produce the flight controllers, whereas they've got, they can make, they have all the other parts except for that. So they're saying that the first batch is coming out towards the end of March. So I'm thinking like either the 3rd or 4th week of March, you might see these available. I'm pretty sure that the people that have pre-ordered these already are going to get them first in the first batch. And then because of the VTX shortage, I'm not sure when the second batch is going to come out. It might be a few more weeks. It could be months. I don't really know the extent of how bad the VTX shortage is. All I know is that this is going to be tough to get. So my recommendation is that if you're looking to get this, and if you want this, I would just go ahead and pre-order it. I'll link them below. But basically, in a nutshell, this is pretty good. There's a few things I don't like about it. But overall, as a bind and fly, if you want to get the lightest Tiny Whoop, this is probably the best one you can get right now. Although I know that for a fact that BETAFPV is working on something similar where you can get an all-in-one flight controller board, just like this one, so you can get the weight all the way down. I think they're going to call it the Meteor 65 Air, based on the Meteor 65 Air frame. And I don't know when it's coming out. I think they have the same problems because of the VTX chip shortage. They can't produce those either. So don't ask me when those are coming out, because I have no clue. They probably have no clue either. No one really knows because of the chip shortage. In any case, I did all the tests on this model with all the stock settings that came from the factory, so I didn't change anything. And one of the things to note is the minimum voltage and the minimum warning voltage. So the minimum voltage on this is set to 2.9, which is not what I typically set mine at. Just I don't like my batteries going that low. And then the warning voltage is set to 3.1. So what that does is it basically squeezes out every last drop of energy out of these batteries. So on this model, when you get the voltage warning, the battery load warning, you pretty much want to land, because you've pretty much squeezed out all of the energy out of the battery. And if you go to the point where your whoop is falling out of the sky, the battery will start puffing at some point pretty soon. So these are pretty puff resistant, but if you abuse them and run them too low consistently, your longevity of the battery is going to suffer. Now, if you don't care, if you're just like, oh, I'm just going to kill them and then just buy new ones, by all means, that's your money, go for it. But I would recommend increasing that warning voltage. But I just ran it on the stock settings here for the test that I ran for this particular video. So just keep that in mind. I don't normally do this, but I don't normally run my batteries that low. But for the testing, for the purposes of this video, I did that. So in the longevity test, the flight time test, I wanted to compare these two. They're basically about the same. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples here. I'm going to post them At the end, you can watch the whole flights. Are really boring. I'm just going in a figure eight, trying not to crash so I can get a consistent test. Because I'm trying to fly them basically about the same. So on the lavas, discharging about 250 milliamp hours total, and getting a total flight time of 4.34 minutes, so 4 minutes and 34 seconds total flight time. I get a minimum voltage of 3.11 volts. So the voltage sag at the end on the lavas is a little bit better. It's not as bad as on the tattoos. Now this is obviously there's some variance between the different cells. If you know, I'm kind of giving you kind of a generalization here because some did better, some did worse. But I'm just sort of kind of pointing out, like in general, I thought the voltage sag at the end of the pack was better on the lavas versus the tattoos. So what this means is if you typically run your batteries all the way to the very end where it's like falling out of the sky, I think you're going to get a better performance out of the lavas versus the tattoos. If you don't do that, it's not going to really matter between these two. If you raise your minimum voltage or the warning voltage, what I do is I run mine to like 3.3 volts, and then it'll recover to like 3.6, 3.65. That's what I do. But if you run it all the way down to 3.1, which is what I did for these tests, the lavas will be, I guess, more abuse-proof than the tattoos. But I don't recommend that. So I would not recommend that. But if you were like one of those people that like to abuse them, then maybe the lavas would be the way to go. On the tattoos, on a 4-minute and 40-second flight, discharging 253 milliamp hours, the minimum voltage went all the way down to 2.95 volts. So this one sagged quite a bit more. Now on the recovery, so I sat on those particular exact flights that you're seeing in the video, when I let the batteries rest for about a minute, I tested the battery voltage, so what it would recover to. At the end of the flight, the lavas came back up to 3.51 volts, which is really good. So the recovery came back a lot better versus the tattoos. It came back to only 3.32 volts. It didn't recover as much on basically the same type of flight, same length of flight. So, if you want batteries that are, I think, going to be recovering a little better, the lavas are probably going to be a little better than the tattoos. But ultimately, you don't want to be running your batteries down that low. If you don't, then again, between these two, it probably doesn't matter too much. Now, I did do these tests on pretty much brand new batteries. So like I bought some brand new set of these and a brand new set of these. So all the tests I did were on new packs, not used packs. So just something also to keep in mind. Oh, and by the way, the tattoos on Amazon are available to buy used and for like a couple dollars less in a pack of 6. I don't recommend doing that. I know for a fact I've heard from a couple of my viewers already that bought these from Amazon used, and they look the same. They look brand new, but someone's obviously flown them quite a bit and returned them. And some people said that out of the 6-pack, a couple of them were dead. A lot of them had really poor flight time. Some of them were puffed. I think what people are doing is there's some unscrupulous people out there. They're buying these brand new and then using them until, maybe they've bought some of these before, used them a bunch with hundreds of flights on them, puffed and killed them, and then they buy another pack, a set of 6 brand new, and then they return them with the used ones that are dead. And Amazon just looks at them. Oh, they look the same. They don't test them, of course. Put them back on the shelf and then, and list them as used. Don't buy those. Do not buy those because you're getting something that people have returned and you don't know what they did to them. They're definitely not recommend to buy these used from Amazon. Don't do that at all. You're going to probably get a lot of dead cells and cells that have been used a ton. Okay, so the last test I did between the lava and the tattoo has to do with 100% throttle. And so what I did is I charged up one lava and one tattoo for approximately 4.1 volts, maybe a little. I think it started at 4.08 volts on the DVR video. So they're charged to the same voltage. And then I did some back and forth, like 100% like runs, where I would just blast the whoop at 100%. And then I wanted to see how these performed at around, sort of halfway through the battery and how much voltage sag you would get running them at 100%. And so the minimum voltage I got on the lavas was 3.22 volts, and the tattoos were 3.29 volts, at least on this example. There's going to be some variance between different cells. You're going to get some a little bit more, a little bit worse. And again, on the tattoos, sometimes some of them are going to be a little bit more or a little bit better. It just kind of depends on the cell. They're going to see a little bit of variance, but as you can see, the minimum voltage at 100% in terms of voltage sag at around the same starting voltage, roughly the same, 3.22, 3.29. I think that's within, I guess, what you would call it, error rate. And of course, you're going to get some variance between different cells. They're not all going to be exactly 100% exactly the same. But I'm just trying to give you an idea of the performance of this. If you're going to be doing a lot of 100% punch outs, and if you're using this for freestyle, then the voltage sag on these two is going to be pretty similar. Not a whole lot of difference between these two batteries. So those are the minor differences. I kind of try and cover them as much detail as possible. In my opinion, I think what boils down to is price. And I think right now the tattoos are just the lowest price right now. Sometimes these go on special. Like I bought a bunch of these during Black Friday last year and instead of around $26 for a set of 6, I think I bought them for around $19 or $20 for a set of 6. So sometimes these will go on special on Amazon, lightning sale or whatever. And you can pick up these for quite a bit cheaper than anything else that you can see out there. And again, I believe that the tattoos are the same as the WeBleed and the Tiny Whip batteries. If you feel that they're not, please let me know if you have any evidence or actual proof of that. But I believe that they are exactly the same batteries. So ultimately, it really boils down to price and whether or not you want to spend the money. Now, of course, if you want to support Tiny Whip or WeBleed FPV, by all means, that's your money. You can do that. I'm not telling you shouldn't. I'm just telling you what I think what these are, what the prices are. You make your own decision. I'm cool with whatever you want to do. And then I think the differences between the tattoos and the BETAFPV one, not a whole lot different. These are definitely, the lavas are way better than the blue batteries that BETAFPV made before. Those were kind of standard, not the folded Z cell, but the rolled cell. And I think they're, I guess the chemistry of the batteries, whatever they were using before, wasn't that great. So those had a lot of voltage sag, poor flight time, etc. So the lavas are definitely way, way better. And I think they're almost as good or just about the same as the tattoos, with those slight minor differences that I pointed out in the video, as I mentioned earlier. Anyway, that's it for this video in terms of the comparison between these two. I will at some point try and get those WeBleeds and the tattoo or the Tiny Whips at some point, whenever they become available to buy. They're out of stock all the time, so I can never buy them. But maybe I will at some point. But I strongly believe that they're the same cells, and they're really no different. And I don't think you're going to get that much more flight time or that much more performance out of those compared to the tattoos. So I would just say, get the whatever is cheapest if that's what your goal is. If your goal is value, I think the tattoos are pretty good value, and they're pretty close to the lavas. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Talk to you guys in the next one.